Hey guys, Andre here, and we're doing something a little bit different than normal. Because Nintendo just launched a website in Japan for Mario's 30th anniversary. And as you can probably tell, it seems to have a pretty heavy Mario Maker influence, which makes sense given as Mario Maker is perhaps the ultimate celebration of Mario's 30-year history. So, I thought we'd go on a quick tour and see what elements it might point out about the game that we didn't already know about. Now, speaking of which, we did just post a huge analysis of the game last night based on the recent Nintendo Direct, so please go check that out if you haven't already. There should be an annotation on the screen, as well as a link in the description below that'll get you right there. Lots of interesting stuff in there you might have missed, so please go check it out. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this website real quick, and starting on the front page here. As you can probably tell, this scene is basically right from Nintendo Direct. You have the giant Mario here, you got Bowser, you got the castle. It's all stuff we've basically seen before. But there is one new thing here, being these platforms up here, which of course are from the original Mario Brothers, that we haven't seen yet. And so if you might remember, these platforms are basically like scale-like or balanced platforms, where if you stand on one side, it'll cause it to drop down, whereas the other side will raise up. Basically, they're kind of a pain to deal with in some of the harder levels of Mario Brothers, so I can imagine they're going to be pretty tricky in this game too, when some people start working with them. And then we also have this cloud platform up here too, which is only from the sky portions of the original Mario Brothers, so you know, the special sky bonus areas. So that's kind of neat, and in those games, or back then, the platform would move at a set rate across the screen. So maybe that's how it works here too. You know, who knows, maybe you can customize its attributes. But that's something that's interesting, and something we haven't quite seen yet. But it does match up with the new cloud-shaped platforms that we saw added in the recent footage, because that's the only type of platform you would see up in the sky level, so that's kind of cool. Alright, so that basically covers it for the front page here. Nothing super exciting, but some interesting stuff. Let's go and move on to the About page, for now real quick at least, where we get this description down here, which basically talks about it being Mario's 30th anniversary, and how the developers, it sounds like, are happy, or thanking us for being fans of the game. And then it talks about how they'll keep adding more stuff to the site over time down here. Now we'll get back to this page in a sec, because there's a lot more interesting stuff here, but let's move on for now to the Mario Maker section, which of course is going to be the most concrete section of the game, where basically I'm guessing everything on this page is going to be pretty reliably in the game. So first up, I mean, as you probably just saw, we have Yoshi here. We got confirmation that Yoshi is going to be in the game, which is huge news. We didn't know about this before, but it is another cool addition. We did just find out that the cape from Mario World will be back in the game, so it is awesome to see that Yoshi is here as well. Now, what we don't know for sure though is if you'll be able to use him in the other Mario themes. Now, of course, he was also in New Super Mario Bros. U, so it would make sense for him to at least appear in that game. And based on that, you might almost, it might make sense for them to actually make older sprites of Yoshi and incorporate them into Mario 3 and Super Mario Bros. Especially because Mario, or Yoshi, was intended to be developed for the original Mario Bros. Game way back in the day. Now granted, he did look a lot different back then, and they couldn't quite make him work at that point. But there is a history of him being there, so it would be really cool to see him incorporated retroactively into those games. So I'm guessing though, otherwise he'll function just as he does in Mario World, and you know, where you can eat enemies, eat shells, you know, spit out shells. Although, based on that fact, we do know that there are only, so far seemingly, only two types of Koopa Troopas in the game, being the green ones and the red ones. Now in Mario World, each one of those would grant you a different ability. Green ones didn't really do anything, but red ones allowed you to spit fire. But then there were also blue and yellow shells as well, which also changed Yoshi's abilities, allowing him to fly, or allowing him to stomp the ground. Now, based on everything we've seen, those colors aren't in the game, which makes me think that, with Yoshi being here, that those powers may not carry over though. Which does make sense, given that New Super Mario Bros. U didn't have that either. So, yeah. Now, another question though is if Yoshi is in this game, or is in the Mario World theme and New Super Mario Bros. U theme, is he going to have the flutter jump? Because he does in New Super Mario Bros. U, but he didn't in Mario World. So there are some interesting differences of how Yoshi worked between the two games that they're going to have to rectify, if they do at all. You know, it is possible he'll handle differently in each game, although I kind of doubt that, considering the fact that the physics do seem to be pretty consistent between the different themes. But, you know, there could be some gameplay exclusive elements, though, because we don't know, for instance, if you can wall jump or ground pound in the older Mario games. It's possible, but we haven't seen that yet. So it is interesting. It will be interesting to see to what extent they separate the different themes from each other from a gameplay perspective. Okay, that's enough about Yoshi for now, because that's awesome, but let's move on. We get confirmation that Monty Moles are back. They were first seen in Mario World. Although I think they were retroactively added to Mario 3, or at least the eShop, or the eShop, the e-reader levels, I believe. I could be mistaken. But, so yeah, that's something that they'll have to add new sprites for Mario Brothers as well. So that's cool. That's, you know, another addition from a more modern Mario game. You know, at least more modern than Mario, more modern than the original Mario Brothers. On top of that, there is, we have a 1-up here, which isn't terribly exciting. We kind of figured that would be the case. Now, if we scroll down here, we can see some more enemies as well, all of which we've already seen in the recent Nintendo Direct. But there's also this Chain Chomp here, and there's something a little bit different about this guy. Because in the Nintendo Direct footage, as we pointed out, in every version we saw of him, he was always attached to a wooden peg, like the ones from the new Super Mario Bros. Games, which we theorized meant you could also ground pound that peg in order to free him, just like you could in the new Super Mario Bros. Games. Which would be interesting because that means they would retroactively be adding the butt stomp to the older Mario games. But here we can see something different. He's actually attached to a block, just like he was in Mario 3, which suggests in this case you can't ground pound him. So does that mean you can choose between the two types? You know, either the peg in order to free him, or the block, in which case you can't free him? That would be pretty cool, and also support the idea that you can retroactively ground pound in the older Mario themes, because what's the point of setting it to a block if you can't ground pound the peg anyway? On top of that though, it got us thinking, what if it's not necessarily the block or the peg you're choosing between, but what if you can just attach a Chain Chomp to anything you want? Like any kind of structure. It would be different and awesome. Like what if you could attach this guy to, like, say, a Koopa Troopa? So while the Koopa Troopa is walking around, maybe the Chain Chomp's roaming around with them. I think that would be pretty funny. And something they haven't really done in a Mario game at all before. So we'll see. I'm just theorizing. Who knows? So let's go and scroll back up here, but there's something else, there's a few other things up here that we skipped. And that's if we click the arrow here, some more things start coming up. Here they show how you can combine various elements in the game, which we've already seen several times before for the most part. So you can combine, you can stack up enemies like the Koopa Troopa and the Piranha Plant here. You can have the Bullet Bill launcher shoot coins and various other things like Power Stars we saw in the most recent one. Now here's something that we haven't quite seen yet. We already knew you could slap wings on just about anything, and as it looks like, you can throw them onto question blocks too. So question blocks can just fly around like they could in Mario World. So that's another neat addition. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work exactly. Like, will you be able to set their flight path, or will it just fly along? You know, will it just fly along by itself from wherever point you started at? You know, who knows? We'll see. It brings up some interesting questions though. Now, we click on to the next page. We get to see 4 different level themes from the game. And unfortunately, it looks like these may be the only 4 in the game, which means I would be incorrect in my assertion in the analysis, where I pointed out it looked like one of the levels was from a night outdoor theme from the original Mario Brothers. In which case, it may actually have just been used in the either the underground or the castle template, which would be pretty disappointing if that is the case. Because I think 4 themes isn't a ton, so I'm hoping there's more to it. But based on how this looks, that may be all there is. At any rate, yeah, we can see that the you can see how the template, you know, or how the blocks will change from template to template, you know, in addition to the background changing, of course. The sign itself appears to be the same, nothing new there, and the sign is pointing to the right in each of them. So I wonder, so you know, that might mean you can't really change the direction of the sign, which, you know, further adds to the idea that you can only make left to right scrolling levels. You know, we don't know that for sure, but that seems like that may be the case. Of course, it could have just done this for symmetry here, just make it all look the same. So, you know, really, who knows? Other than that, not too much new about the screenshots. We do see the lava bubble again here, actually popping out of lava this time, as some people point out in the analysis. It actually didn't pop out of lava, as far as we can tell, in the picture that we did see in before. Beyond that, not much else going on. So let's go ahead and scroll on to the next page. And we can see the same scene in 4 different themes. So you can see how the different various elements change. And you can see the Chain Chomp there again, how they change, how he changes between the themes. Unfortunately, he's covering up the peg that he's attached to, but that ties into the whole thing I was just talking about. So that covers it for this page. And next up we have the movie page, which just gives us a trailer that we've already analyzed fully. So that pretty much covers it for the website in general. But let's go ahead and go back to the About page real quick, because there could be a ton of new information here, or maybe none at all. Because we have this whole montage thing going on up here, showing a bunch of scenes from the classic Mario games. Now the question is, are they really just scenes from the classic Mario games, or could they be hints at what's to come in Mario Maker? Maybe even pictures from Mario Maker. Now in all honesty, they probably are just scenes from the classic games, because this page in general does seem to be celebrating the history of Mario as opposed to talking about Mario Maker. But, you know, that's no fun, so let's go ahead and pretend that they are talking about Mario Maker. So first up, we can see that there is a Mario World style Bowser here, flying around in the Clown Copter, which would be a pretty crazy addition. That would mean that you could probably add proper boss fights to the game, or maybe you could even add him as a common enemy, which would be nuts. And it makes you wonder, could there be Koopalings here in the game as well? Beyond that, we see a Dry Bones here, which wouldn't be any huge surprise. They were introduced in Mario 3, so they would just have to add a Mario 1 version of them. So that'd be cool. That'd be another, you know, good enemy to see. We get another look at Monty Mole here. Let's see, we get another look at Mario riding Yoshi up here. Here's another new enemy, Magic Koopa, which were introduced in Mario World. So that would be fun to see how they downgrade him for the other, you know, 2 older Mario games. And he's riding on a skull platform from Mario World. So could you add those to the game, like maybe to a lava level and actually ride those platforms around? Beyond that, let's see here. We get a look at, hold on here, a giant Hammer Brother here from Mario 3, which isn't any huge surprise. We've seen, you know, variants of enemies before in much larger form now, so it wouldn't be surprising to see a larger version of the Hammer Brother. Here we have Mario riding around in the Goomba Shoe, which would be awesome. I would love to see that. The Goomba Shoe is great, and it was only in 1 level for Mario 3, so it would be really cool to actually be able to use it, or make use of it in more levels than that. And I would love to see how they changed it for the other Mario games, if they do in fact do. Basically anything involving the Goomba Shoe is awesome. After that, we do have a, let's see, where was it? I thought it was over here. There is the sun from, there it is, the sun from Mario 3 on the left. Which again, I think was only in a single, or I think it was in 2 levels from that game. And he was terrifying back then. So I would be very afraid to see what the community could do with a sun-driven level in Mario 3. Basically just a perpetual thing that stalks you throughout the level. That would be awesome. And let's see here. That might cover it for the most part. Hold on, looking. There is, okay, hold on here. There's something else here. Here we see Mario hitting, a Mario World style Mario hitting a Koopa shell, or a Koopa out of his Koopa shell, like it could in Mario World. So does that mean that would change in this game too? Because so far we've seen what happens when you hit a Koopa in the older Mario games, in the trailers for Mario Maker, and it functions just like it does in the older Mario games, where he just goes in the shell and you kick the shell. So if this is the case here, this is just a pretty huge change between themes, meaning that the Koopa shells would, or the Koopas would function completely differently in the Super Mario World theme. In which case, opens up a whole world of questions, like, would Yoshi be exclusive to the Mario World theme, or maybe the new Super Mario Bros. U theme as well, among with the cape and the raccoon suit being exclusive to Mario 3. Effectively, that would mean some elements would be exclusive to certain themes, meaning the level would change very much so depending on which theme you choose and how it plays. So that'd be kind of crazy and would be pretty interesting. And I think that pretty much covers it. That is most of the main details. I think we see a few new enemies here as well in versions that we haven't seen before. I think we see like a Mario 3 Piranha Plant in here somewhere. But for the most part, that pretty much covers it. So that's your look at the Japanese version, or Japanese site for the anniversary of Mario and Mario Maker. Hopefully this is a good taste of things to come. I can't wait to see Yoshi in motion. And I'm really just excited to play more of this at E3. So again, if you didn't check out our analysis from last night, please go check it out. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. It was a lot of fun to do and took a ton of time. And beyond that, we should have a discussion pretty soon about Mario Maker as well. We'll dive into our thoughts and opinions and everything we've learned about the game thus far. Alright guys, well thanks for watching this video, and keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more on Mario Maker and more analysis and other things gaming as well. Alright, see you guys. Bye.